Hello everyone. Now, I am not a doctor nor am I giving medical advice. I have to say this because YouTube requires me to say that. But I've got some information I'd just like to share with everyone and just to kind of get you thinking about things. Listen, first off, I would like to say I'm Grandpa Hickory. I live presently in Texas, USA. And I'm welcoming you to my channel. I'm asking, that you follow this video all the way through and think about it with an open mind, what I'm fixing to tell you about, because there are so many people that when the good doctors tell them something, they automatically do it. And see, doctors are getting filthy rich. They've been getting filthy rich since way, way back. And they don't care about their patients anymore like they used to. Now, by that, I specifically mean, see, I'm 73 years old. Back in the 1950s, we had doctors that came to our door and helped us. And you know how my mother paid the doctor? With a chicken, a live chicken from the hen house. Me and my brother used to have to go out there and capture the chicken that he would pick out. And then we'd put it in a tow sack and he would take it home with him. Because he had a little chicken coop and, he wanted the chicken for eggs or as a fryer or whatever he wanted. But I'm just telling you, the doctors then cared about people. And they didn't put them on prescriptions that literally damaged them. And now I want to come to this. Be careful how you use antacids. See, nobody will tell you this. I doubt you can even find this information out. You might say, I got it from the School of Hard Knocks, like my dad used to say. The School of Hard Knocks. From experiencing and going through a horrible roller coaster ride that very nearly cost me my life. I got real sick. Seemed like every time I turned around, it was like, oh man, I was afraid my heart was going to stop. It hurt so bad. Go to the doctor, antacids. Here's prescription antacids. Well, then later you could buy them over the counter, so I didn't even go to the doctor. I'd just buy the antacids and pop them. Boom. Anytime I had a mild stomach ache, boom, the doctor said, take one. Take one or two. Well, they put me on a thing called Zantac, and I was taking that. And people, I'm going to tell you something. I can't even begin to tell you all the antacids that I was prescribed over the years. And my condition got worse and worse and worse and worse. Then I ended up having to have esophageal surgery done. When I went in, my esophagus looked like this. See, the esophagus is like, it's as thin as a balloon. The walls of a balloon. It's just real thin. It's like a little tube, okay, that the Lord God made and put in each one of us, in our vessels. All right. Now, when my surgeon called me in and talked to me and said, I'd like to talk to you, Grandpa. And I said, well, what about? She said, well, look. She said, are you still on them antacids? I told her, yes, ma'am. They just put me on another 8-week regimen. She said, don't do it. I said, why? I've always been on them. She said, that's the problem. She said, people don't know it, but when you take antacids, you literally dry your esophagus out. And the more that you take these antacids and you consume them, and by doing this right here, you can imagine a pill going right down here into your stomach. Well, friends, I'm going to tell you something. I found out that it was bowels and abdominal gas pains that I had all those years. And here I was going to a doctor and it's charging me money and my insurance and everything else. And they had me taking things that were destroying my esophagus. Well, I had to have surgery and all that. And my surgeon also sat me down and told me, listen, she said, nobody's going to tell you this, but I'm going to tell you this. See, because I used to eat Mexican food all the time. I love the hard, tostadas, dip them in guacamole with hot sauce and everything. Oh, listen, I love them things. She told me, she said, sir, that is literally like eating crushed glass. So when you consume these hard chips, a lot of times your teeth does not chew into mush. And you're so hungry and you love it so much, you're just swallowing it down. And as you've got the avocado, the guacamole, as you've got that mixed with the salsa, you can't feel the sharp edges and you're swallowing. Well, let me tell you something. When it hits that little thin tube, guess what it does? It don't just go down the middle of it and drop. No, it goes to the side of it. Now, here, this is sharp edges, okay? And here's your esophagus, okay? You swallow. All these sharp things are digging into that short tube called the esophagus. I do not take antacids. I do not take it. Now, I'm not trying to gross you out, but I'm going to mention bowel movements. I had a real bad problem, and I was scared because I had abdominal cramps so bad, and seems like every time I ate, I just had a horrible abdominal cramps. But see, when I had a bowel movement, every bit of that pain left my body. I'm not trying to be nasty or gross you out. I'm just trying to get you thinking about your own self, about your own symptoms, about things going on with your body. And at the same time that these doctors were administering antacids to me by the wheelbarrow loads, and then when they came out over the counter, he just told me, just buy all of them you want, just take as many as you want. If you have a stomach ache, take them. Well, I didn't know what was going on. But at the same time that they had me on these horrible, ungodly antacids that was wreaking havoc in my body and my esophagus that would lead to major surgery, my surgeon was in surgery with me for 4.5 hours. And let me tell you something. You know those metal things? Have you ever seen them, like, lifting weights and things? Those metal things that you set your barbells down in? They're shaped like this, like a U, and they're on a stand, on the floor, and you set your barbells down on them. Okay. They took me in there and they got to twist my arms way up. And they lay you down, and you're naked as a jaybird. And those same holders, my bony little ankle feet laying face down, was on them too. So I'm laying straight out with my arms way up in the air, and then they put this metal one, the U-shaped hook, just like the barbell thing, Well, there was one here for my head that shoved my head way back. They have to get you elevated like this, with you laying down, friend. Try it. You'll see what I'm talking about. Horribly uncomfortable. Listen, I had shoulder pain, my God, for about 6 or 7 months after my surgery, after I come out of it. But let me tell you what, they have to go into the esophagus. She had 4 robots, little bitty tiny robots. She spent 4.5 hours stitching my esophagus up, and they had to wrap it. Well, I was put on Ensure, horrible liquid Ensure. I was on a liquid diet for 1.5 years, not allowed to eat foods for 1.5 years. I was stitched up so much in here, it's just unbelievable. And she said it'd take about 5 years for all those sutures to totally dissolve, that she had to use some real heavy sutures on me because my esophagus was shredded and hanging down like this. And the way they finally found it out was every time when I'd eat, my food would go down into my esophagus, go through the side into my chest cavity. Well, after a while, it started putrefying. I had breath like a dead animal. Well, I thought it was my teeth rotting, so I went to my dentist. He did all kinds, x-ray, everything on me, and he come in here and told me, he said, "Sir, I advise you to see a medical doctor. You have got something going on that is very, very bad. You need to have it looked into." Well, I went in, told him what he said, and they started running tests on me and everything, and sure enough, they found the ripped all to pieces esophagus that was hanging there in shards. And you know that the Lord helped that surgeon to put that back together again and sew it up, but they still had to wrap. They do an esophageal wrap. And that's what they did on me. But be careful how you use antacids. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not giving medical advice. All I'm doing is telling you, look at me. Listen to this video again if you need to. Ponder these points that I'm giving you. I'm 73 years old. I've been through things, friends. All those antibiotics that they gave me on top of the antacids for all those years. I have horrible allergies now. Horrible, horrible allergies. It's all caused by the usage of antibiotics. You're wondering why they cut down the antibiotic use in the United States, because they were being sued like crazy, because it was coming out that the antibiotics weaken the human immune system down, and they cause lasting damage of horrible and sometimes fatal allergic reactions. You hear people, well, they died of toxic shock. No, they didn't. No. They've been taking antibiotics. You ever heard of anybody in the hospital that when they gave them antibiotics, they died? I worked with a guy, we called him Barbecue, because he was always barbecuing. And he would bring the barbecue in on Fridays, and we would all pay. And man, we got a huge barbecue plate, and his barbecue was scrumptious. This guy, he had a big, huge smoker, and listen, he had some of the best barbecue you could ever get your hands on, you could ever sink your teeth into. He was a young guy, just went to the hospital with him, checked. "Oh, I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry. Come here. You want to say something to these people? This is my little precious. I accidentally kicked her. I didn't know she was coming in here. She heard me talking. Can you say hello to them people? Looky there. It's a good girl. That's a good girl." I named her Precious because she is precious. But people, I'm going to tell you something. There are a lot of things, just like prednisone. They gave my wife, I don't know how much prednisone they gave to my wife. My wife is dead now. She died of cancer. She had non-Hodgkin lymphoma. And the doctors had her on prednisone so bad it was unbelievable. And then they put her on the finishing to kill her off. They gave her Exloda. I wish that there was somebody that would start a class action lawsuit against Exloda. I would join it immediately. My sister took Exloda also. My sister had breast cancer. And she was doing so good. I had her and my wife both on herbs, and they were doing great. But the doctors demanded they stop the herbs after they'd been cancer-free for 7 years. But they took them off the herbs. They put them on Exloda. And Exloda causes 3 tumors to form in the brain. The first one is on the thyroid gland. The second one is on the pituitary gland. The third one is the master gland, the hypothalamus. And that's it. They're dead. So I just thought I'd let you know. And you've got to be careful just because the doctor says take this, take that. And all the prescriptions. I don't take prescription now. I do get Ambien now. It's a sleep aid. And every now and then I'll take Ambien. But that's the only thing I have. That's it. That's it. And I do not take prescriptions, and I don't do what doctors tell me to do. They gave me tests 3 years in a row that cost me $8,500 a year. I had to finance all that. And Medicare don't pay for anything. Medicare is a scam. I've got United Healthcare, and it don't pay anything. They chip me around. Listen, I just had oral surgery on the bottom part of my teeth here. I had dental surgery, and these are dentures. It cost me $21,970 and I had to pay for it myself. Medicare refused to pay a penny of it. I'm going to tell you something. Medicare is a scam. It's a scam. They don't care about elderly people. I'm speaking from my own experience now. And I live in a senior citizen community here. And every one of the senior citizens I talk to, they tell me it's the same way with them. But listen, all I'm doing is telling you, be careful how you use antacids. Be careful. Do everything you can to keep from it. See, they didn't tell me about ox biles and digestive enzymes. Nobody told me about this. The Lord's the one that showed this to me. I got these from Amazon, people. Every time I eat, I get sicker than a dog. I can take this stuff right here about 10 minutes before I eat. I no longer get sick. Why didn't somebody teach me this years ago? Because doctors don't teach nutrition. They don't do it. They don't study nutrition. Anyway, hey, listen, hit the like button, subscribe. I'm Grandpa Hickory, and I'll see you on the next video. All I'm doing is saying, be careful with the use of antacids. Be careful with it. You have a good day. I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for stopping by.